Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we're diving into something huge, a masterclass on building a brand that doesn't just get noticed, but becomes truly unforgettable. We're going to break down the exact frameworks that some of the biggest names online use every single day.
Okay, so let's jump right into this awesome stuff from brand strategist Caleb Ralston. First up, we're going to look at the two paths every single creator is on. Then we'll get hands-on and actually design your brand's blueprint, build a content engine to make it go, and finally, get to the really important part, how to earn trust before you even think about asking for a transaction.
So let's kick things off with a little bit of real talk. Right now, every single one of us putting stuff out there online, we're on one of two very different paths. And this choice, well, it's pretty much what determines whether you stand out or just get lost in all the noise.
And this slide just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got the Unforgettable brand. You know the one. It's all about randomness, just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, leaving your audience totally confused. But on the right, that's the goal, the intentional brand. This is all about strategy, where every piece of content is deliberately building trust that actually moves people to take action.
So this is the first and maybe the most critical step. Before we go any further, you've got to ask yourself, and be really honest, which one of these sounds like me right now? There's no judgment here, it's just about awareness. Because you can't get to where you're going if you don't know where you're starting from.
Okay, so you've decided you want to be on that intentional path. Awesome. But how do you actually build it? That's what this section is all about. We're diving into how to create the blueprint. This is where we stop guessing and start engineering real, lasting influence from the ground up. And look, just so you know, this isn't just some nice theory. This stuff is battle-tested. This is the exact same framework Ralston used to help creators like Gary Vee get absolutely explosive growth. I mean, think about that. Going from 300,000 to a whopping 3.5 million followers on TikTok in just 3 months. That's the power of this system.
First things first. Let's get our definition straight. Branding isn't this fuzzy, artsy concept. It's an action. It's something you do. It is the intentional, and this is key, consistent act of pairing your name with the ideas, the skills, or the values you want to be known for.
And your brand itself? Well, that's the result. It's the byproduct of all that consistent action. Your brand is what lives inside your audience's head. It's that automatic connection they make the second they hear your name. That is the real prize.
So how do we build this thing on purpose? The secret is to reverse engineer the whole thing. This is the brand journey framework. You start at the end with your big outcome. Then you just work backward. Okay, what reputation do I need to achieve that? What do I actually have to do day in and day out to build that reputation? And finally, what skills do I need to learn right now to start doing those things today?
You know, every powerful brand has a story, and this is the simple 3-step recipe for yours. First, the catalyst. You spot a gap, something you see in your industry that everyone else seems to be missing. Then you state your core truth, your unique belief about that gap. And finally, the most important part, the proof. You show up and reinforce that belief with your actions and your content over and over and over again.
Okay, a blueprint is absolutely essential. But let's be real, it's useless without an engine to bring it to life, right? And that engine, well, that's your content. So let's build it. We're talking about moving away from random posts and creating a strategic system that does the heavy lifting for you.
Now, this next part, this might just be the biggest mindset shift you'll ever have to make as a creator. We have to completely let go of our own ideas about what quality content is. Because the simple, humbling truth is, we don't get to decide what's good. Our audience does. Our only job is to listen to them.
And there's actually a system for listening. Ralston calls it the accordion method. Think of it just like the instrument. First, you expand. You put out a higher volume of content, trying different topics, different formats. Your only goal is to get data fast. Then, once that data tells you what's working, you contract. You focus all of that energy into making more of what your audience has already told you they love.
So let's break that down. When you're in that expand phase, I need you to remember this. The goal is not just reach or views. It is all about data acquisition.
You're a scientist running tons of little experiments, testing hooks, formats, topics, all to learn what your audience signals as quality.
And once you have that data, that's when you contract. You look at your best performing stuff, you find the patterns, and then you reinvest your energy. Imagine taking all the effort you were spreading thin across, say, 14 posts, and instead pouring it all into 7 incredible posts that you know are going to hit. That's the game.
So, what do you actually talk about? Easy. The 80-20 rule is your best friend. 80% of your content should be laser-focused on your core topic, the thing you want the world to know you for. But that other 20%, man, that's where the magic happens. That's where you get to be a human being, sharing your interests, your stories, your personality. That's what builds the real connection.
Okay, so you've got your blueprint. You've got your content engine humming. Now for the final and most important piece of the puzzle. How do you turn all of this attention into a brand that can actually sustain itself? It all comes down to one thing. Because attention is nice, but trust is what builds a business.
This right here, this is probably the most important rule of the whole game, and it is absolutely non-negotiable. You cannot ask for a transaction, not a sale, not a subscription, not anything, before you have earned trust. Trust is the currency. You have to accumulate a whole lot of it first.
So how do you do it? How do you build that trust in a way that actually leads to a sustainable business? Well, the model is beautiful in its simplicity. Share the knowledge, sell the execution. You give away your best information, your best strategies, completely for free, and then you offer to help people actually implement it.
Here's how that works in practice. Your free content, where you share the what and the why, becomes your single best marketing tool. It actually helps people get results, which builds this incredible amount of trust. And for the people who want help with the how, or just want it done for them, your paid offer becomes the most logical, no-brainer next step.
You know, when you boil it all down, everything we've talked about today, the blueprint, the content engine, the business model, it can all be filtered through one simple, powerful question. Before you post, before you launch, before you do anything, just ask yourself, will this increase trust with my audience or will it decrease trust? If you let that one question guide you, you won't just build a following. You'll build a brand that's truly unforgettable.